Here it is. All right. It is now 6 p.m. Thursday, July 24th. And with all this meeting, the Rome City Council to order. We have a quorum of council members. This time, we can please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Let's have the invocation first.
Father, we thank you so much tonight for the privilege of being here at this meeting. And tonight we claim the promise found in Joshua 1:9 that we should be strong and courageous because your promise is to always be with us. And so we are grateful tonight, Lord, that you're here with us tonight. And I pray your blessing on each council member here tonight, Lord. We're thankful that in your wisdom, you created a situation where they were elected and that they could be here to help the great city of Rome that we love. So thank you in advance for all that you're doing for us. We pray in the holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Right. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
All right. All right, for announcements, only good announcement I have tonight is for the council. You may have heard one of our long-standing great citizens, the Mayor Emeritus and Assistant Fire Chief Michelle DeCredico is going to be leaving the department. And as soon as we have, we're going to do a farewell for her. And as soon as we have that ironed out and get the information detailed, we'll get that to you guys. I just want to let y'all know that's will be coming. So she served this city honorably for years and years and years and it's been a great asset to this city. We hate to see her go, but it has to happen sooner or later. We appreciate everything she did, but we'll get that to you. All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? That's my item number B. Remember that to the regular agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item B.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving on to the staff reports. I believe we have a report tonight.
No, sir, I don't believe we do have a report this evening. We will hold all those for the first meeting in August.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the regular agenda, item B from the consent agenda will be for contract for engineering services. Have we have some here to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. We actually do have Riley, who is with Westwood Engineering Firm. Would you mind stepping to the mic and introducing yourself, sir? This is the company that was one of the two recommended by staff, and we have submitted their contract proposal to our city attorney. It is on your agenda this evening for approval if council is interested in moving our general engineering services from Kimley Horn to Westwood. And Riley said he'd like to come just say hello and let people know who he is and kind of give a general introduction.
Hey guys, thank you Mayor and Council for having me. Amanda teed it up very nicely. I'm Riley Perolik. I'm with Westwood Engineering. We put in for y'all's RFQ for general service engineering. As she mentioned, I just wanted to come put a face to the name so that when I come and present on future topics, you know who's going to come and be here. I don't really have much more to add besides that. I just wanted to be here tonight while y'all make this motion and appreciate the opportunity to work for the city of Rome.
Just to also let council know, Riley and his team do a lot of work for our regional water district, and I've been very impressed with their responsiveness, with their ability to communicate the direction that we're going and to do all of the analysis that's been required. So we're really looking forward to the partnership.
Thanks
Thank
for
y'all.
coming.
Of course.
Appreciate you. Do I have a motion from council to approve, to accept their offer to provide engineering services?
I move to accept the offer from Westwood to provide general engineering services.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. Motion approved.
Thank you,
Welcome
Council.
aboard. All right, moving on. The next discussion will be on the budget for FY 25-26.
Thank you, Mayor. So staff continues to work diligently on all of our budget numbers and kind of hone in and more succinctly bring to you the numbers that are going to be brought for you for the 25-26 fiscal year. I actually spent a considerable amount of time on the phone today with our CPA consultants that handle, we have one team that handles a lot of the behind the scenes work with OpenGov and STW, and we're putting the finishing touches on getting the 24 year all in line so we can get that submitted to our auditing firm. So the budget moves as part of that process. What mainly we have to update you on this evening is actually item B. Mayor, if you want me to go ahead and tee up the tax rate discussion, we can roll those together.
There's no discussion? Yes.
So I do have information from the appraisal district that it looks like our tax base I submitted to you at our last meeting was about $267 million for the 2025 taxable value. It has actually gone up to about $277 million. That is good news for Rome. It does show that we are having some expansion in our tax base. What we're not having yet is the diversity. So we are still looking to bring additional businesses to Rome that will help with that tax rate and help us to generate revenue either through sales and use tax or ad valorem as businesses look to locate themselves within our community, which then affects the budget, the tax rate, and all the decisions that you all made as it relates to providing said services for the community. So we also submitted documentation to the county today by their deadline for things such as our debt rate so that they can calculate all that information and get it back to you. And I am hopeful that at your 14th meeting that they will have some preliminary numbers for me on both our ad valorem rate and all of the other information that we need to make said decision. So just bear with us. This is some of the making of the sausage, if you will, behind the scenes as we bring the budget forward. Any questions on the tax base? That's all I have.
Thank you. There's no further regular. We will move on to item number C, water rate discussion based on meter sizes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is something that we have discussed over the last year, and by last year, I mean 2024, a few times. You do have at your table a couple of handouts, one that shows some potential rates for commercial meters based on sizing. And of course, I handed them all out to everyone but myself. Hey, Suze, thank you. Hold everybody. I'll borrow that, Mayor. Thank you. You will see that there are two different documents. One looks like this. This is the one that says AWWA, and this is where we draw our information from. And Mr. Dominguez is here and can answer some more of these questions as we go through. The other one, you see, looks like it's blue at the top and it has two charts. One has our commercial rates for meter bases inside the city based on meter size. The other one has the ones that are outside the city limits. And so if you'll recall, when the gentleman from the Texas Rural Water Association, TRWA, came forward and did a rate study for us in July of 24. And we had discussions toward the end of 24, as you all made the decision to eliminate the 0 to 2,000 gallons worth of free water that was included in the base rate. We also talked about the fact that we needed to right size these meters and to charge them according to the size of meter, either to the AWWA standards or to some other standard that we have determined as a multiplier is appropriate for Rome. So what we have before you is at the top chart that you see that says commercial inside city limits. We have 13 meters that's 5/8 inch size, and we have 19 that are 3/4. Those we think are sized pretty appropriately and priced pretty appropriately. You'll see that for the 13 meters that are 5/8, we would not recommend to you a change in the base rate in that meter size. In the ones that are 3/4 inch, if you look at the AWWA standard, it does show a multiplier of 1.5. So that would change that base rate per meter size to $67.23. And we have 19 of those meters throughout town. And you can see on down to the largest meter that we have at 4 inches, that's a 30 multiplier. And Jesus can explain kind of how those meter sizes cause you to have additional water in a quicker fashion versus somebody who has a 1 inch meter. But you will notice that the 30 multiplier takes that base rate from $44.82 to $1,344, which is a significant jump. Not necessarily what we are recommending to you all. We are just applying the AWWA multiplier to the number so that you can see how we have a delta between what we're charging now and what at least the professionals in the water field say that you should consider charging.
I just want to clarify that these are monthly rates.
Yes, sir, they are. And this is independent of how much water you use. This is just your base rate. So,
And right now, we're only charging a multiplier of 1 from all of these.
correct. And this is where we run into the issues on the multipliers is it's a council decision. AWWA standards are recommendations for you all to consider. We are not necessarily saying absolutely you have to adopt that, because if you're going to go from a 4-inch water meter that's $44 to $1,300, and that's $1,300 a month, that's a significant change and can be a game changer for a business. Blessedly, we only have one of those meters.
Is that Love's or QT?
It is not.
Oh,
No, it is not. It is modern welding. They fill up those tanks and they need a lot of water fast. So I just want to be clear, while the numbers on this page, as you get down into the meter sizes at 4-inch and even 8-inch and above, which we don't have any, that's a significant amount. So we're presenting this information just for general conversation this evening. We expect to bring it back to you over the next several meetings so that we can arrive at some sort of a either stepped-in plan to get us there over a period of time. Or if we can decide, do we want to use some component piece of this multiplier to change these incrementally. Mr. Dominguez went and he did the research and he pulled the city of Decatur, the city of North Lake, Justin, and Fort Worth. Fort Worth charges different rates both inside and outside of their city. Their multipliers are higher than ours, but they are not, on the most part, they are higher than ours, but they are not to the AWWA standards. So they have used some other component to this that makes sense to their city council. Does that make sense?
yes. Do we, are we gonna go to these businesses and maybe talk to them prior to, just to let them know that we're having these discussions?
The thought is, once council makes a decision, some sort of a plan forward, yes, we would definitely want to talk to these people. Some of them may not even realize that they have a meter that size. They may want to change out, but it could cost money to do that as well. Mr. Dominguez, anytime you want to jump in on,
There's, as Amanda said, there's options and I'm sure some, commercial businesses might be like, well, I don't need a 4-inch meter, something smaller. And if that's the case, I'm sure we'll talk to them about the city going in and reducing on our side, but it's gonna require them to pay a plumber to tie in on their side, which, for a base rate change, that's something that's on the long term, they would probably consider. The main thing though on these impacts and why we want to address them is your fixed cost, your cost recovery, and then your demand. We don't have a business with a 6-inch meter, but if one day it happens, their impact in our water system, their delivery is just way higher than, I don't know.
1-inch.
Yeah, 1-inch meter, yeah. Taco Casa versus some type of manufacturer that uses a 6-inch meter. The impact is enormous, and that's what we gotta consider is we don't wanna charge, one, the residents, absolutely not, they shouldn't be covering the cost of businesses, but two, the small businesses, as their meter goes up, they gotta cover their own cost of getting the water to them. So the impact is more than just one thing. You gotta think about the maintenance, the pumps, the chlorine, the long-term maintenance,
Delivery system.
yeah.
All of this.
And your studies, impact fees and, your master plans for water and sewer and all that. You gotta consider that into cost. At some point, we gotta do upgrades or we gotta do this or that, but that's how we try to recover our cost.
And when you think about it, Mr. Johnson, to the conversation that you're bringing forward, that what is QT paying or what is, any of these other businesses that are Dollar General, anything that is in business to make a profit, $44.82 is a subsidy.
I was just guessing at which one
Yeah.
had that meter.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that for a commercial business, a $44 base fee is extremely low.
When was the last time that the $44.82, how long has that been there?
Commercial water rates inside the city, the base rates have been the same since 2017. Before that, we changed them twice in 16. Changed them in 11. 10, but mind you, that's like 5 cents, and then before that, it was 2006. And then from 2006, the last time it had been changed was 1997. So we've been sporadic in changing said base rate to cover those fixed costs and things. Also, when we included the 0 to 2,000 gallons, that was another subsidy. Now, to be very clear, this is commercial only. This does not identify residential. You just had a change on some of that as well. So, and we're also not advocating that you do this today. Just, we need to start thinking about this and how we plan this into our utility fund, because right now you do have some residential, in my opinion, that is subsidizing your commercial. Your school district's paying $45 for a base rate for a water meter. Theirs would go to about 358 or 784 based on the size of their unit. So that's more in line with the draw, the use, the complexity of that commercial building, the amount of water that they use, et cetera, the impact on the system. It's not the same as McCallum Group. It's not the same. So we have to make sure that we right size this, because as I mentioned to a couple of council members, we are seeing a tremendous amount of interest in Rome from both residential and commercial sides. We have got to fix this issue before we have tremendous folks come in and want to kick off development, and we don't have the infrastructure and the fees in place to cover the costs. So this is why we bring it forward. You'll see on the tab at the bottom that we only have 4 taps that are outside the city limits. And so those would change accordingly or in some fashion if council makes a decision to use some sort of multiplier to change that base rate.
And we know we need to maintain our infrastructure. When I look at these numbers, let's say we capped it at 17.5 multiplier. I'm just real fast figuring a conservative round figure would be about 100,000 a year, almost inside city limits. And so I mean, 100,000 a year for maintenance. What's that really, is that gonna move the needle at all?
So there's a lot of factors, and it'll be better than where we are. We haven't really done maintenance. I mean, we fix things as they break, and that's not the right way to do things. I think we need to build our revenue coming in so we can start making changes. For example, just a few things out there. And these are big items that we've been working on, repair tanks or even replacing tanks. That's one of them. Little things, your AC unit at Bobo is $25,000. We've been fixing it up at $2,000 or $1,000 or just to keep it going. But at one of these, it's not gonna work. And then that comes out of my budget, not expected, and then it just eats through the whole maintenance budget. So it's not gonna fix everything right now, but I think the idea is to conservatively
There you go.
move over to something long term. I mean, we really have to look at long term. There's a lot of pipes in the town that I think we need to look at replacing and moving water flow and demand to the other side of town. And there's just a lot of things we need to work on, and I think this is the first step. It's a big step, at least.
So if you want to look at some sort of a cap that we can come back and spread this out, we can certainly do that. I will say that I think Mr. Dominguez and I both had a little sticker shock too when we looked at the multiplier. I don't know how the AWWA comes at that, but I know they are the experts, and this is something that every city looks at in some form or fashion and makes a determination.
Well, I don't know that I would want a cap on it. because other businesses are gonna come in, and if they want a 4-inch line, then we're cutting our feet out from underneath us.
Well, like
I
Fort
think-
Worth, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I think and I do agree, we do need to do something, and if we're gonna do something, it needs to follow some sort of regulation, like this AWWA. But I want it to be incrementally, and then somehow, and if they wanna reduce those lines, then they can do that, and it would probably save them money, but just throwing that out there.
Can I say something to how they come up with the standard? So again, we talked about it a little bit last time. A simple way of putting it, say Taco Casa, you built two of them next to each other. One of them's a 5/8 meter, the other one's an 8-inch meter. The biggest one there is, and they're bigger than that, but we're not there. Say Taco Casa on the left with a 5/8 meter and the one on the right with an 8-inch, they both turn on the water for 1 minute. The guy on the left, or Taco Casa on the left, is gonna fill 20 gallons of water. The Taco Casa on the right with the big meter is gonna fill 1,600 gallons of water. That is the impact. And you gotta think about that. They don't pull water for 1 minute. They pull water 8 hours a day or however long, but that is how the conversion comes to play, is how much impact on your infrastructure in total it takes.
Because one of the questions that Mr. Dominguez and I discussed was, a water meter is a water meter. What difference does it make? And then he was explaining the difference between the sizes and the pool that comes versus the size that you have implemented. When we get to the residential component piece of this, we have some residences that have a 1-inch water meter. We will put to council that we need to put in a policy that 1-inch water meters are not needed in a residential home. Because when you look at the multiplier for that, that makes the base rate about $112 a month. We wouldn't recommend that on the folks that are already here. We would think we would leave their base rate at X and move forward. But we'd like to see you all consider a policy that limits that size on residential meters, because it's A, not a necessity, B, it's a bigger drain on the system, and C, there's no reason for someone, unless they actively request that size and understand the implication to their water bill. So they would have to sign something that says, we know we've asked for a larger meter and it's going to cost X amount as a base rate.
Is there some sort of building code where it says this is the standard for water lines and home? Yes. Okay.
So in the future, after they've done all that, they sell the house. The new owner's gonna be stuck with that, or?
That's one of those that we may have to figure out a tracking system internally. This address is at the 3/4 inch rate, not 1 inch. We may have to figure out a way to notate that in our system.
I see what you're asking though. Say a new house comes in, they want a 1-inch meter, they're paying the high rate. And then say they move 3 years from now, the new owner. I mean, I guess it's something that has to be disclosed by the current owner.
Well,
Because
there's
it's,
not much we can do, that it is what it is in that one. I thought Mr. Johnson was saying if somebody's grandfathered in and they move and then someone else buys the house, do they pay the new higher rate or the lower rate?
I'm thinking even grandfathered in, the house
The
that's,
property, your grandfather,
Yeah.
not cut.
yes.
That would be my recommendation to you. Because the houses that we have on the ground now, we don't know how they came to have a slightly larger meter. It wasn't a necessity, and I don't know if that was a builder decision or a residential decision, but either way, I'm not sure they would have understood the impact, and I would not recommend that we penalize those people. I would think that going forward, if you make that informed consent, then you need to pay for the meter that you've purchased. That would be my recommendation to you.
Do we have figures for Decatur? Okay,
So yes, I do. I did not print them out for you, but commercial for Decatur. Oh, that's residential. I apologize. Let me scroll down. Decatur's commercial is $27.03 in base rate,
or the one,
for 5/8 inch up to 1.5 inch,
27 at what?
and 3 cents, $27.03. North Lakes goes from $56 to $115. Justin's goes from $37 to $123.
And you're saying going up to the 1.5.
That's just that's their side, that's the sizes they have from 5/8 to 1.5 inch meter and the costs associated with those.
Okay, so North Lake 56 to 115,
Yes,
and then what was the other one?
$37.
What were?
Fort Worth is $13.75, up to $54.50. But I want you to think tax base,
Yes,
the broadness of their system versus ours, is a
And
completely different situation.
and those are the three comparisons.
That's the four cities we were really able to find easily.
Jetson, what's Jetson?
$36.95 to $123.04. And we could try and gather some other ones. If council is interested in looking at those numbers, that's certainly something that we can pull together for another conversation. The city of Boyd, I think, has not adjusted their rates accordingly, but we can certainly gather those and some of the others.
Cater is changing theirs this upcoming month.
Are they?
Yes, they are. I'm not sure to what scale or anything. I tried to ask, but the person in charge wasn't available, so I'll try to follow up again with them.
So, based on the figures you just gave, these numbers are actually relatively conservative.
Ours?
Yeah.
Dependent upon what multiplier you're using, yes, it's just, it's a change for Rome.
Right.
Sometimes that can be a challenge for anybody.
We can't price ourselves into bankruptcy.
Right.
We're tasked with providing a dependable supply of clean drinking water to everyone in Rome. And that comes with a cost. And right now, we're losing money. We're going broke. So, that's,
Well, this doesn't have to be done if
no.
No, sir, it doesn't. No.
No, this can be incremental, but something's gotta start happening. We gotta begin the process, or we're gonna go broke.
so like on the big ones,
Before it's,
yeah, the 4 inch. So instead of doing the 1344.60, you could do 762. That's half. I mean,
Whatever council
it's not a
decides.
big impact, but and then a few years down the road, you can go back and get.
So and let me kind of phrase that. Yes, I think your approach is 100% correct. It should not be a rip the Band-Aid off. It needs to be an incremental so folks can budget and can adjust things as needed. The first question I want to know is, do you want us to look at the AWWA multiplier or some component thereof? And then if that is the case, do you want us to look in like a 3 installment move over a year? So that this is something that's a gradual change, but then we have to get on a rotation schedule of, we need to look at these every year to 2 years at the most. We don't need to wait 10 years to change the rates. It's a lot easier to go from $123 to $125 versus $123 to $300. That's just that's not us being good stewards with what we've been asked to do. So we can bring this back to council in September with some recommendations on those AWWA standards and the multiplier. And then we can bring in some sort of either a 2-step change like they've done in the past. Previous councils have made 2 adjustments within a 1-year period. We can look at 3 adjustments in a 1-year period. I'm just really looking for some framework from which you want us to do some research.
But it'll be really an easy job to just do 2 or 3 steps for the ones that are $100 or $200.
Yeah.
The $1,300 one, I'm worried about. I don't want to just slam them with a huge water bill.
Sure.
1 month.
Cause I was kind of looking at that maybe over a 2-year period. I mean, that's a big hit.
Maybe 3 or 4 increments over a 2-year period.
Yeah, that would work.
That's what I was like, can we separate the smaller amounts from that big, huge amount, the 1 4-inch line?
you'll have to come up with a bracket.
I do believe though that we could go ahead and say that we want to move forward with some kind of ordinance that says that we will no longer permit
Yes.
residential water meters in excess of 5/8, 3/4.
Well, I don't know if we want to say we won't permit it as much as you will pay the fee associated with it, because if someone comes in and they specifically want that, we want to sell it to them, but we want to make sure they're paying the commensurate price. for
Right
what
now,
size.
with our limited water, do we want to permit it? I know we would want to sell it, but can we,
So
do we have the capacity?
this thing just died.
Yeah, and how often do we think that might happen?
Not very often. For residential, I wouldn't think. 1 inch,
Okay, so it all just depends on the owner and the size of the house. It's really the reality. So the state requires a 0.6 PSI or gallons per minute per tap. That's 3/4 inch. Now, you're supposed to go by sizes. Whatever size the meter is, that's how much you're allotted to sell your LEUs. So it all just depends on the meter size on that portion. But it's rare to have a house with a 1 inch, 2 inch meter. I guess if they build a mansion or something, I mean, I guess they want like a 2 or 3, depending on the plumbing and everything else. Now, I did want to bring up before we get off topic too, is commercial. You don't want to have anything less than 1 inch on commercial. Commercial, you want to set that at a solid, 1 inch and above, because there are a few here that are 3/4 inch. And I think they should be 1 inch just because they're serving restrooms, to the public, and also, I mean, it's gonna be restaurants and stuff. They use quite a bit of water, so we want to make sure they have the adequate, usage. And if they want bigger, I mean, of course, that's whatever they design, that's what we'll follow through with.
So would we need to have another ordinance about,
we need to update our building codes, that's what the mayor was saying, that all ties in, and this is one of the things that we talked about, that we have a lot of codes that need to be updated. And we need to figure out a plan for picking those off one at a time or two at a time and getting those done.
How does multifamily fit into this? Are those typically done with separate meters for each residence in a multifamily?
So there's multiple answers to that. Duplexes, quadplexes, sometimes they're individually plumbed per section, so they'll each have their meter. And then there's apartments, hotels, they usually have a master meter, which is a 2 inch, a 3 inch, 4 inch, whatever size they accommodate to their engineering and the housing also. Yeah. We did discuss that too.
Especially in light of the townhomes that are coming forward. You should see that probably in the next 60 days on your agenda in some form or fashion. And so we were discussing that internally as a team is how do you meter those and what does it look like? There's changes coming. They're getting very close. So I think I understand the direction. The residential we will bring forward in the fall to have a conversation, probably sometime in October, November timeframe, just to start looking at and determining how do we want to deal with that? And how do we want to make any changes to that base rate as well? Because you will recall when Lewis was here from TRWA, that was one of the things he also recommended to us was a change in the base rate, but we'll, like we say, we'll take it incrementally so that people can prepare and they can budget and they don't feel like this is a immediate shock to their home life, because that's not the intent.
Is it reasonable to think that we should go ahead and do these 2 building codes for residential and
We
commercial?
can certainly target those for updating, yes.
Just knowing that we have things that are coming.
Yeah, I can talk to our city planner and see what he can do to help us with that.
Okay.
Because in the future, guys, water is going to be worth as much as oil. We're trying to do some 10 and 15-year plans through the mayor's coalition right now. And the next thing we're trying to do is get PUA stood up so we can bring water in from Eagle Mountain. But we can't have a 4-inch line business paying a residential rate and that volume of water. I mean, we can't just keep giving it away willy-nilly. See what happens, we have to go under water restrictions. So everybody in the county is working together to try to fix our water problem.
And you don't want the residential to subsidize the commercial.
Yeah, we can't,
Because you've got a $37 base rate on your water for residential. And if you're not portioning your costs on your meters by size appropriately, then basically that's what's happening.
Do we also want to go ahead and publish something to our commercial residents to say, that's not the right word, commercial
It is.
residents? To say that we are looking at the rates and they can expect or should expect an increase in a certain period of time. Like, just, I feel badly knowing that we're talking about it. And even though, yes, everybody has the right to be involved in, they're
We
not.
could certainly draft a letter to our businesses. There's 63 connections. I don't know that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for the smaller meter sizes, the 5/8 and 3/4. I'm not sure that that's a necessity. I will certainly draft something separate to them because it's not that big of a change, but the 1 inch and above, yes, I can certainly put something together and mail it out to them directly.
Would we say that that's reasonable to give that to them by the end of August?
Oh, yeah.
And do we have a date that we want to try as a council to try to have?
I'd like to have this back to you by your first meeting in September, just because we have so much to do on the next 2 meetings for budget and tax rate that I think we're gonna cloud the issue if we,
So we could say we'll set the new rates like in October,
I think I would mention that we'll be talking about them again at the meeting in
in September.
September and possible implementation in October, November, final quarter of the year, something like that.
Yes.
all right, thank you, appreciate it. All right, moving on, as this time right now, it is 6:36. At this time, according to pursuant to the following designated selection of Texas Government Code, section 551.071, consultation with attorney, pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or to seek advice from the attorney regarding Prairie Point development property. We are now going to executive session. Right.
Got grandkids, you have to. Oh, I do too, yeah.
All right, it is now 6:54. We are out of executive session and there will be no action as a result of executive session. So at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.
Well,
Thanks, Rob.
And now I got a